There are plenty of ice fishing opportunities in the South Central Fisheries District in North Dakota. Fisheries Supervisor Paul Bailey will go over walleye populations, pike populations, perch populations, and tell anglers what they can expect this winter. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. Paul, let's get into fish populations right away. Anglers always want to know what fish populations are. How are walleye populations in the South Central District?
Honestly, our walleye fish populations have probably never been better as far as, across the South Central part of the state. We've probably got better opportunity now than we've ever had in the past. So, a few traditional spots that anglers are probably well aware of, like Alkaline Lake and Dry Lake. Some of those kind of noteworthy fisheries are still going to be really good, but we've got a number of other opportunities across there too that anglers would probably be wise to take a look at our website, look at some of our fisheries information that we put out there, and maybe tap into some of these spots that they've never tried before, where there is some really good opportunity.
And on our website at gf.nd.gov, there's a page called Where to Fish, and it provides tremendous information on.
All right, that's a great resource for anglers. Maybe it's a blizzard day, you don't want to get out, maybe spend a little time on the computer instead, and you might come across some really good fishing opportunity out there that maybe you weren't aware of in the past.
Paul, let's move into pike populations. How are they doing?
Good, maybe not quite as good as our walleye. Our pike populations fluctuate a little bit more based on some of our water levels, and that where a lot of our pike populations are maintained through natural reproduction. So when we have good conditions for natural reproduction, some of those higher water years, we tend to see little booms in our pike population. So we haven't had those conditions as much since the spring of 20 was pretty good for that. So anglers are still tapping into a lot of those fish that were produced in the spring of 20. There are now some of those nicer sized pike out there. So we do have good pike opportunity. It might not be just quite as widespread as it was a few years ago.
Any particular lakes that people should target?
So much depends on what we might see for water clarity in some of these places. Some of the more traditional pike places like Lake Helen, Cherry Lake, West Napoleon still occasionally is pretty good, but if we get some cloudy water, that can impact how well those sight-feeding predators like pike cooperate, and then that's something really important for our anglers or spear fishermen to be aware of too. Is it's kind of a crapshoot as far as what we're going to see for water clarity until the ice sets up and we get a chance to get out there and take a look at things. So,
but the fish are there.
Absolutely, there's good opportunity for pike this winter.
Another popular species people target in the winter time especially are perch.
Right, and that's really our stereotypical boom and bust kind of fish population, or fish species are our yellow perch in North Dakota. We've got good opportunity out there, but when opportunity is at its best, comes after some of those high water events, like after the winter of 96, 97, the winter of 08, 09, where a lot of our lakes refilled, led to ideal conditions for perch. Perch, much like our pike, are maintained in most of our fisheries through natural reproduction. And we saw pretty good perch reproduction across the south central part of the state in the spring of 20, but it typically takes 4 or 5 years after some of those good reproductive events for those perch to get to those 8 to 12 inch sizes that a lot of our anglers are most interested in. So there's good perch opportunity out there. Again, going to our website, looking up some of those lakes in particular, where we do have good perch numbers. But one of the most frustrating things for me as a guy who targets perch once in a while too is you can go to a lake that we know has a good perch population in it, but sometimes those fish can just be so finicky, they might not cooperate there as well. So perch anglers are the best advice for perch anglers is be mobile, try a bunch of different lakes, and you might stumble upon some really good fishing.
And rumors.
Right, that can help you too, yeah.
Paul, you manage Lake Oahe as well. Some things have changed there in the last year.
Right, we're dealing with some really low water levels on Lake Oahe, the lowest we've seen since since the drought of 01 through 2008 really impacted that fishery. So there's certainly still fish to be caught in Lake Oahe. But anglers should be well aware of these lower water levels, and some of their traditional fishing spots might not really exist right now. Basically like Beaver Bay is down to basically about 2 feet of water in the creek channel, so it isn't going to quite offer that opportunity it has in the past. And then a lot of our walleye anglers especially like fishing right adjacent to the historic Missouri River channel in Lake Oahe. Well, we're dealing with some pretty severe current in those areas right now. Last time I fished Lake Oahe myself out of the boat was early November, and in that Cattail Bay, Fort Yates area, there was about 0.4 mile an hour current in that main channel area, which is going to lead to some potentially highly variable ice conditions where you might check the ice leaving the shoreline area from one of the access areas and might have your 2 feet of ice in a place like that, but getting out into some of those areas with that current, there might be considerably less ice out there. So I think should fish, if you fish Lake Oahe this year, definitely do it very cautiously and continually check those ice conditions.
Paul, any new ice fishing opportunities in your district in the last, let's just say 5-10 years?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot to try and develop some new walleye fisheries, especially where we had good opportunity. But I think one opportunity that folks, especially here in the Bismarck-Mandan area, might be really interested in is we worked with the Burleigh County Water Board that around McDowell Dam. The Burleigh County Water Board owns McDowell Dam and the recreation area around it, and it's managed by Bismarck Parks and Rec. But we've worked with those two entities to increase fishing opportunity there by now opening McDowell Dam up to, or open to catch and release ice fishing. So, in the summertime, it's a popular spot for, especially for a lot of kids, families tend to fish there an awful lot. But we worked to increase that opportunity there so anglers can now, for the first time, take advantage of some catch and release winter fishing opportunities at McDowell Dam.
And McDowell Dam is just a couple miles east of Bismarck here.
Correct. Yep. Very, very convenient place to get to for especially maybe some anglers that have a little shorter attention span or don't, kids that don't want to spend an hour or two in the car to get some place to fish. Hopefully you can squeeze that in between, hockey practice or basketball or something like that and maybe get some kids out there to experience that opportunity.
As long as the weather and access allows, South Central District should provide some pretty decent ice fishing this winter.
Absolutely. Yep.
A lot of great information, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.